Welcome to another Witcher lore video by me, the Witcher George. So I'm making a video today about one of the relationships in The Witcher 3 that I remember, at least when I didn't know all that much about the sort of Witcher lore background. I thought it was kind of a relatively confusing relationship, and it's something that, at least in the books, it's something that is sort of developed throughout, and if you don't pay exact attention throughout all of it, it can kind of be a little bit confusing why it soured in the end. But I've decided to make a video today just discussing the relationship between Philippa Eilhart and Dijkstra. I don't want to discuss pretty much just everything that happened with them in the books, but I want to give you a general overview of why the relationship soured and pretty much just what their relationship was in the books. So in the books, Philippa and Dijkstra both served in Redania's court under King Vizimir II of Redania. They had a relatively close relationship in this time, working on many seemingly shared goals and working together to achieve them. Just to give you a couple of examples of the sort of things they worked on together, they both took part in the Thanid coup, and this is something that's a little bit complicated to get into for today's video, but just know they were on the same side and they wanted to take out some Nilfgaardian supporters together. That's about as much as you really need to know for their sort of involvement together. They were on the same side and they had the same political alignments. They were also both very high up in Redania's court. Dijkstra was the head of the Redanian military intelligence, which is an entire story in itself, and Philippa was just a very high up advisor. I mean, mages, as you'll know, they serve as advisors to kings and queens in a lot of different kingdoms in The Witcher, and I imagine this was just Philippa's role. Although, as you'll know, because of the sort of person Philippa was, she definitely would have took a more active role in a lot of the other areas, which is why she was, I'd say, such good friends, although maybe it's more sort of friends out of circumstance with Dijkstra. I mean, even after King Vizimir II, which is Radovid V's father, so Radovid from The Witcher 3, after his father was assassinated, instead of the kingdom going to Queen Hedwig, which was King Vizimir's wife, it basically went to a sort of regency council that was headed by Dijkstra and Philippa. Actually, just going back to the assassination of King Vizimir II, it's actually a pretty weird and interesting subject area, at least if you go by the books. In the games, it's a little more cut and dry, and it's sort of explained, I'd say arguably better, just because in the books, it's not entirely apparent who actually assassinated King Vizimir II, but in the games, it's pretty much just made clear that it was Philippa Eilhart. And just to clarify, I'm not saying she was the one to deliver the killing blow herself, just that she was heavily involved in some way, at least if you go by the game lore. There is certainly a lot of reason for Philippa to have been the one to want to assassinate King Vizimir in the books, but there's also some reason that you could argue is heavily against her wanting to do it. I'm not going to be getting into all that because that's not what today's video is about. The reason Philippa would be obviously up for assassinating King Vizimir is because then she could effectively rule the kingdom, which is what she managed to do along with Dijkstra, and then also mold Radovid and make a better place for magic. But also there's a lot of arguments against her wanting to do it because, of course, during the Thanid coup, she was very much for the Northern Realms, and it doesn't really make much sense that she would want to then kill a Northern King. But it's one of those things that it's a little bit, you know, we don't quite know, but if you go by game canon, it was definitely Philippa. There is other evidence in the books that it might have been Philippa that did it, because Dijkstra tells Philippa that he realized that the half-elf who assassinated King Vizimir II wasn't working alone, and then shortly after, assassins were sent after him and he managed to escape. So that's why in the games, he talks about how Philippa tried to assassinate him, although she does deny this.
Did you really send assassins after Dijkstra?
You believe I do not remember we were once lovers?
Maybe it's just me, but I think you'd consider that in itself to be reason enough. Actually, I've long wondered why you parted, quarreled even.
You see, Geralt, there are those who keep politics separate from their private lives, and those who do not.
Which one was Dijkstra?
The more boring of the two.
So for the final part of today's video, I'm just going to discuss, I imagine, one of the main reasons you even wanted to watch this video, and it's what is the actual relationship between Dijkstra and Philippa. Not just their sort of working relationship, but their sort of, you know, their personal relationship. So we don't have much to go on for this, but we do have one story, and this is from Dijkstra himself.
A sorceress turned me down once. Want to hear the story?
Go for it. What's the harm?
As you know, my heart fluttered for Philippa Eilhart back when we both served Redania. One day, I doused myself in fragrances like a whore in a heat wave, put on a pinstripe doublet, they make you look slimmer, you know, and I went to her, told her, Philippa, we've so much in common, and so on. Know what she said?
Pinstripes hadn't slimmed you down enough?
No. She said she preferred women. So I drank myself stupid and went out whoring.
There a moral in that story from me?
No. An instruction. Just do what I did.
And that's about as far as their relationship in that sense goes. Although Philippa does state that they were lovers, she could be lying, or perhaps they were lovers, and Dijkstra wanted things to become more serious, and, well, quite clearly if that happened, she wasn't up for that. But when they worked together, as I've said, I imagine they had a pretty close relationship. They definitely shared a lot of secrets with each other, but also kept a lot of secrets from each other, and they were just pretty much just good partners. They were really, really good partners in the books. They led Redania pretty well until, obviously, Dijkstra ended up sort of finding out more than he was supposed to. And if I were to discuss their relationship in The Witcher 3, it's pretty apparent if you play the games that it isn't exactly great. They don't really have that much interaction overall. They have a couple things here and there, obviously with the bathhouse mission, and later on if you decide to, I'm just going to give you a brief spoiler warning, later on if you decide to assassinate Radovid, she has a little bit of involvement, but it's not really with Dijkstra at all. So at the end of the books, that's pretty much where their proper relationship ends. Past that point, Dijkstra's just not particularly happy, and Dijkstra and her basically don't really talk that much. Dijkstra just really doesn't like her, and Philippa doesn't really seem to care that much. But anyway, that's it for today's Witcher lore video, or Witcher 3 explained video. I just decided to make today's video because I imagine maybe if you play the games or read the books, you might have a little bit of confusion about what these two actually do and what their relationship actually is, so I just thought it'd be nice to make a quick short video that can just remind you about their situation in The Witcher. So I hope this video has at least served that purpose. I hope you've enjoyed it. Even just discussing The Witcher's fun, so, you know, at least this video might have served that purpose, and yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed today's video, guys. Of course, if you want to support this channel, I'd really appreciate a like. It lets me know you enjoy this sort of videos, want to see more. I'd appreciate any comments for suggestions, any thoughts on this, if you want to add anything. Obviously, this video isn't going massively in depth in all the things they got up to together, but it's just a basic overview of what their relationship was. When I eventually do a proper character lore video on Philippa, I will definitely be discussing those schemes in more detail, but that's not what this video is about. This video is just a basic sort of overview of it. Also, be sure to subscribe as I make Witcher videos every week, and of course, if you subscribe, you won't miss the videos, and I just really do appreciate it, so thanks to anyone that does any of these things. And also, check out my second channel. I've made now 2 Middle-earth lore videos. Really appreciate you checking that out. I put a bit of time into those videos, and I think they came out okay, so I'd appreciate anyone looking at that. And yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. Hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Have an awesome rest of the week.